just a couple minutes.
Okay.
I'll check. Robert, are you there?
I am, yes.
And Jeff?
Present. Present.
Great. Okay. We will, what the heck? Let's get started now. It's close enough.
That sounds great. I'm just waiting.
So Jeff, do you, and Glenn, do you want to introduce the subject?
Yes. This is actually a continuation of a discussion that started several months ago at one of the SEOW meetings. We were approached in December by representatives from WebMD who had purchased Staywell, which owned HTHU. And they were converting all their clients to what's called the WebMD platform. The platform has some similarities to our current Staywell platform, but also has more services and capabilities than the current platform. But they also had proposed a PEPM model, or excuse me, pricing proposal, similar to the one we have used with Weight Watchers, but different from the current Healthy Team, Healthy You, which is on a per participant basis. And at the last SEOW meeting, it was asked that we have them come back, and we've also asked the carriers to provide their input on the program, or I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself here, to provide more information on this pricing proposal as well as the conversion, so that SEOW could review and if they wanted to make a recommendation in regards to the conversion to the platform for the 21-22 plan year and the new pricing proposal.
Great. Okay, so we have the two people. Was it Melissa and Molly? Did I get those names right?
Maureen.
Maureen, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
All right, so away you go. We have the PowerPoint, and Rose, I think you drive it. You just have to tell when you need slides advanced.
Sure, great, thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Maureen Convey, and I'm the Strategic Account Executive for the OWEB account. And with me today is Melissa Voigt, who is our Vice President of Client Experience. And you can forward the slide. And so, as was mentioned just a moment ago, we're very excited to talk a little bit more detail about the WebMD One platform. And again, this is one of the great outcomes that occurred a little bit over a year ago when WebMD and Staywell came together. You can go next, please. And so just to give you a quick recap of the core member programs that are available today, sessions are e-learning activities. So that's where participants can review educational material, participate in a game or quiz to test their knowledge, and complete a goal. There are a variety of challenges, 3 are listed there, where individuals can achieve, work towards achieving a daily goal, and they can monitor their own progress along with other individuals on our leaderboard. We have a variety of activity trackers, so individuals based on their own personal interests can monitor their own activities, such as increasing their water intake or meditation minutes. A variety of educational resources from recipes, health articles to workout videos. Device integration with all the wearables that are in the market today, a vast majority of those. And then customer service to help individuals if they have any questions regarding the platform. Next, please. What we couldn't have imagined, though, was 2020 and COVID-19, and that really made us pause and pivot our strategy of how do we engage the members. And so with the help of Laura Jacobson, who is the dedicated program coordinator, we developed for OWEB educational webinars. So these are live webinars that started in October, and continue on a monthly basis. And then recordings are available via HTHU on demand. So you can see the topics listed there with the upcoming one in 2 days, plant-based eating for everyone. A couple of activities that are coming up also are virtual wellness breaks. So getting people to take a little time out of their day for a little light and energizing physical activity they can do wherever they're at. Virtual worksite presentations. So really looking at sending the message out about the HTHU program and all the tools and resources that are available to a group setting. And so that will be coming soon. We also launched in December the Healthy Teams Healthy newsletter. And so that will align with the webinar topic each month. And then we did provide some COVID-19 resources for individuals to take advantage of, in addition to Beyond Well podcast. So those are mental health podcasts on a variety of different topics, such as coping, creating balance, anxiety, things of that nature. So really, we had to pivot to find a different way to engage the members due to COVID-19. And so you can see some of the results there. Again, webinars launched in October, newsletter in December. Next, please. So then just want to take a moment here and just talk about the data. And there's 2 areas here that I just need to make an update. So portal utilization. So we're at a little bit over 17,000 sessions, and that's a combination of return visitors and new visitors to the portal. Next, please. And team activity. So actually that number 829 should be 1,202. So of individuals that were in some form of a team, whether that was a team of 1, which was 46% of the individuals, or you can see in the graph there, we had groups of 2 people, 3 and more. Next, please. Physical activity, looking at average minutes per week by affiliation. So the red line is the number of users, and then the blue bars is the average number of minutes. So you can see, and as we've seen in other research regarding the impact of COVID-19, for many folks, physical activity did take a decrease. And so, but we did see some peaks here, and the goal is 150 minutes per week. Next, please. So physical activity, we did see the average number of days increase by 53%. And for strength training, we saw that double. And over half the respondents agreed that coworkers encouraged physical activity, which is great to see because we understand the importance of peer support. Next, please. Healthy eating. So looking at the intake of servings of fruits and vegetables, we saw that increase by 56% among the program participants. And then this last bullet point should also read 56% of respondents agreed that coworkers, again, that peer support, encouraged healthy eating. Then healthy weight, looking at over 2/3 of respondents reported the program helped them better manage their weight. And that is similar to what was reported in the prior year. So that was good to see. Next, please. And then program satisfaction, which we know is really important to get the word out about any program. And so the program satisfaction increased in the current year to levels consistent with 2016 and 2018. So that is good to see that those that are engaging with the program, they would recommend it to a friend. So that was just a brief overview of the data component of the H2HU program. And now I'm going to pass it over to Melissa.
Great, thanks, Marie. So you can probably go ahead and skip 2 slides ahead. And what we wanted to do is share with you a little bit more now about the change in the program and the enhancements that you'll see with the WebMD1 platform. So like Maureen mentioned, you know, one of the great things that has come from WebMD acquiring SEOW, we've been able to take the best of both companies and really pull them together. And so as part of that, when we were going through and looking at the platforms and the different features, as a business, of course, made a decision that the WebMD1 platform was definitely going to be the platform that all of our clients are going to be moving to over the next course of a year or two. And as part of that, also, taking in some of the great, characteristics that the SEOW platform had and building it into the WebMD1 platform. So it'll become more of a supercharged platform. But if you move to the next slide, what we feel is happening is that with moving the HTHU program over into the WebMD1 platform, there are going to be quite a few enhancements that the users will have, which is great. And that's what we wanted to talk through with you today. So I know that this is a lot of text, so I won't go through all of this, but there's a couple of key aspects that we wanted to call out. And so I'll actually have you, I'll put some pictures with the words here. So if you skip 2 slides ahead, the platform will continue to be available both on a mobile app as well as the desktop, and they will sync. People will still be able to integrate their either their personal apps like MyFitnessPal or integrate their wearable devices. All of that will come into the platform. But from a usability perspective, one of the things that we're really excited about is just how we can personalize the experience to the participant. And one of the ways that we do that is upon registration, we also know, with the eligibility file, any information that we may receive from an eligibility file, we'll be able to segment the population and be able to provide the right type of, I'll say, overall data to the user. So for example, if they're a MODA member, we can make sure that we're connecting them with the MODA resources that they have. Similar for Kaiser. So based on what we know about that user, we can make sure that we're surfacing the right type of information. But we also want to do that from a personal perspective. We know that health is personal. We know that people want to focus on what they want to focus on. So when they log into the platform for the very first time, we simply ask them, right, what are you interested in? And we make sure that we customize the experience so that they are really driving their own participant experience in that way. So if you move on to the next slide, one of the things that we talked about with the personalization and segmentation, so once we know a little bit more about the user, what they're interested in, we can also then take any information that we may receive through the eligibility file and personalize the experience and promote different programs and connect them to the resources that are available to them. So this is definitely an enhancement from what we've had on the SEOW platform. And again, making it easy for the users to find the right resources at the right time to manage their overall health. On the next slide, another great service that we'll offer is if there's ever any information that anybody's looking for, maybe it's the carrier or OEB in general, we have the ability to do these pulse surveys. So it might be just a couple of short questions where if we want to learn a little bit more or personalize the experience or even just evolve the well-being program in general, it's a really easy way for us to be able to get information from the participants to continue to evolve the program over time and really provide the right types of programs that the participants are interested in. So great, quick and easy way to get that information. In addition, on the next slide, similar to on the HTHU program right now, we have what we call levels where they would enroll in a self-directed digital coaching program. And we also have that with Daily Habits. On the SEOW platform right now, there were 3 different levels that they could pick from. Essentially, it was, a beginner, moderate, and advanced type of curriculum. This one, they'll actually be able to choose based on what they're interested in working on. So we have 16 programs available. So a wide variety, whether it be nutrition or physical activity, all the way to some of those chronic condition programs like COPD or asthma. The participant can choose at any point in time which Daily Habits plan they want to select from, and then really work on that program, either it's a 28-day program for the lifestyle or an 84-day for that chronic condition program. And on the next slide, it just shows you just a couple of slide shots of what it looks like. So it's fairly, we want to make it extremely intuitive for the participants. So they start the plan and then we ask them a few intake, outtake questions. And of course, that helps us to provide you all responses in terms of are these plans helping to actually drive behavior change? And on the next slide, making it simple for participants to come in and stay on track. So what we know from a behavior change perspective is that we have to do, the small things daily to truly change behavior, which helps to, obviously improve their health over time. And that's really the science behind these daily habits programs. But what's great is that we have 16 topics right now. We continue to enhance that list. We're actually releasing them quarterly, and that will all be included within the WebMD1 platform. The next one that's coming out is a work-life balance program that's coming out that we're really excited about. But this helps to keep it new and fresh for the participants. If you move to the next slide, in addition, we currently do have challenges that we're doing with the HTHU program. We will continue to be able to support challenges. So here's just a few challenges that we have. So nutrition, stress, hydration, and sleep, walking. But then what we also have the capability to do is provide specific challenges. And so we'll talk in a bit about Laura Jacobson, the dedicated wellness program manager, but she can help, facilitate and create specific challenges. So whether we wanted to do a mindfulness challenge, or maybe it's a walking up the stairs challenge, we have the technology to help support some of those innovative challenge concepts. And on the next slide, as you could see from, the previous participation stats that Maureen shared, is that people love team challenges. And we have a great team challenge called the Invitational. And this is a 5-week steps challenge that allows people to get into teams of 5 and compete head-to-head with different teams each week. And it's really fun. At WebMD, we're doing this right now. We're in week 2, but it actually pairs you up with people who are of similar activity level based on the team. So it's not just, marathon runners always win, and, those that are not able to maybe even get 3,000 steps are always behind. It's a great way to just go head to head and encourage you to get daily activity and increase your steps by even 500 or 1,000 throughout the challenge. But it's a really fun one, and it also helps to create that culture as well. So we know once we get people talking and moving, that that culture certainly follows closely after that. In addition, so on the next slide, one of the great enhancements that we have as part of the new proposed solution is continuing to provide creative communications and effective communications to really meet your culture and help drive engagement. So what we have is it's called the Creative Shop, but essentially it's a self-directed tool where either our program manager or if you guys you had champions, for example, that you wanted to have promote the program, they could have access to this Creative Shop where it's their templates all ready to go, making it easy for the champions to be able to drive engagement in the program. But in addition to all of the wonderful communications that are templated already and they're ready to go to build that, again, well-being awareness and help them generate emails, we will also be including an additional 100 hours of custom communication support. So as part of this, what we do is we have a communication strategist that is working that is working with OAB just to we know your communications are unique, and we want to find the right vehicles and the right words. So we want to make sure that we're really part of your brand, your culture, and the right way to communicate. So in order to do this, we will be including that 100 hours of custom communication support. And just to give you an example, so if you go to the next slide, of just some of the great communications that can come out of the Creative Shop. Again, they're configurable, they're ready to use, extremely professional. And as you can imagine, with our brand WebMD, all of the information has been clinically validated. Everything goes through our board to ensure the accuracy of the content. So you rest assured, it's wonderful content that the team will have access to. In addition, on the next slide, Wellness Champion support. So we are really excited because as part of the proposal, we have included a one full-time employee. Her name currently is Laura Jacobson, and she is the program coordinator that helps to promote the HTHU programs. And I think this is where we've definitely been creative over the past year. Previously, when we were engaging people in the HTHU program, it was, going on site and meeting people one-to-one. And of course, we definitely had to change strategies to engage a large number of folks in more of a remote way. And Laura's done a great job of, really pivoting to that. But one of the ways that, in addition to, having that full-time support to help promote, the webinars and some of the newsletters, some of those programs, is really working with the Wellness Champion Network. So we would have Laura, certainly work with OWEB's current champion network to provide that tailored support to, again, continue to drive engagement in the program and really help as many people as we can. And finally, we want to provide, Glenn, his team, but also the champions with real-time access to, are people participating? How are people participating? Are they staying engaged? Do we need to re-engage them in a different way? So you'll also have access to, which is completely brand new, an on-demand data dashboard. And this is the ability to take a look at, again, how everything is performing, all the way from what's the site engagement to, the step counts. So it's a great way to put the power in your team's hands to continue to promote the program. So before we go into just kind of the pricing and how this all lays out, I will just pause quickly just from a capabilities perspective to see if you have any questions.
So who has access to this data dashboard, Core Insights?
So, yep, you can choose who would have access to this. So this could be, you could choose nobody, but you could also have it be the administrators of the program. So for example, Glenn could have access to this, but we also have different settings where if you would want a champion to be able to see, let's say, site engagement, not health information or anything like that, of course, everything would be HIPAA protected. They would have the ability to see that type of data. So the flexibility is there, but rest assured that we put the right type of information in front of the right type of person.
Other comments from committee members? I personally am very impressed with this, with the enhancements, the support of the champion network involving both communications. That's all wonderful. So this is, when I look, I thought from healthy team to stay well, it got better. And from Stay Well to the WebMD1 platform, again, another improvement.
Yes, thank you. And we couldn't agree more. I think we have all been, very impressed with what WebMD has brought to this program, and we're excited to continue to partner with you and provide those enhancements to the program to continue, to support the HTHU program and continue the great engagement.
Okay.
All right. So with that, I'll jump to pricing. Yeah. Yep. So let's move to slides. The next slide, please. So just wanted to talk through the changing in the fee structure. So as we shared before, previously it was a per participant fee, meaning if they enrolled in the platform, that's when it would trigger payment. And with all of the enhancements that we've made, so with the WebMD1 platform, again, just elevating what we can do within that platform. We have had to, and we're actually very excited about transitioning to more of a culture of health. So bringing in more of that surround sound where it's really just not all within the platform, but that there's other services that we're providing to help build that culture of health. And that's when we know, again, culture of change happens. So we have included the full-time dedicated program coordinator, and these are just a couple of examples of what Laura will be able to do. So we'll continue to provide those educational webinars. We'll be able to provide newsletters, virtual wellness breaks, so bringing things out of the platform and directly in front of the participants. We will, of course, always refer them into the platform to get engagement there, but we want to essentially humanize the experience by having somebody like Laura actually deliver some of that content. And again, deploying communications, and then, this would also allow us to support needs by school or by department, or if there's certain requests by leadership team. We'll include that 100 hours of communication, the dashboard, and then of course, customer service. So from a pricing perspective, we're looking at 25 cents per eligible participant per month. Right now, the eligibility is around 100,000. So we're looking at an annual fee of about 300,000. And so if you move on to the next slide, just also to level set from a participation standpoint. So just to give you a level of where things have been and where things are today, and why, why the proposed change. First of all, within 2017, 2018, 2019, we've been in that, $230,000 to $300,000 range. And this was when the participation was simply, going in onto the platform and engaging in a digital only experience. Of course, 2020 was an anomaly. We certainly had to shift and change, and needed to relook at how we engage the platform or participants. And so we've done that. And as you can see now in 2020 to 2021, we're certainly ahead of the curve in terms of how many participants we're engaging. So right now, on the platform itself, just to understand from a payment perspective, we are getting paid, kind of per registration in the platform. So for Kaiser, that's 87 people, and Moda, it's 118. However, we have several webinars that we have been able to get in front of participants and do, some true education. We've had 1,875 people enroll in the webinars, and right now there's no payment for those. Those are things that we're doing to try to increase engagement, and that's what we want to do more of. We want to make sure that we're getting people, both within the platform, but also bringing wellness directly to them. So we're sitting, if we term them all enrollments, it would be about 2,000. So if we go actually back to the last slide, first of all, from a payment model, a per eligible per month, that is standard, both within WebMD. All of our other clients are within that model. It's also, most of the industry is within that PEPM. So, again, just kind of evolving how that payment would be. But then, certainly understanding that participation is extremely important to you. One of the things that we would certainly be open to doing is also to put performance guarantees in place, as this would be a more of a annual fee model versus a per participant fee. So happy to have that conversation with the carriers when that time would come.
Jeff. So I have a question, and that is, I like all the direction of the program and all that. When we get to the cost and the number of participants, OWEB operates much like an exchange. And I think when we count the various entities, Glenn, correct me on this, it's like 1,000. So we have 1,000 different elections as to whether to offer this or not. Am I accurate, Glenn?
Well, the entities right now, we're at 251. So we have 251 separate entities right now, and they don't select the program itself. It's selected on an individual basis.
Well, but the entities can go on and work with Ms. Jacobson and organize challenges and things like that. So there's actually there's two levels that's there. One is, okay, are you going to participate as an individual on the website with all the individual coaching and things like that? And then there is the, okay, we've got teams that are going, and are we going, that, and there's a wellness champion at the entity, and they're going to participate with, the Moda people, the Kaiser people, and now the WebMD one people.
Yeah. So I'm not declaring a preference at this point. I'm just asking tactical questions from the standpoint of going forward. Do we package this with our medical plans? And so whoever elects Moda is going to get this, or Kaiser and they get this, or do we leave the choice up to the school districts or to the groups below that? Or do we include this in our administration charge?
And that's what we've done.
But-
Yeah, I mean, it's currently subcontracted through the carriers,
Yeah,
and as part of our medical benefit.
right. So this is gonna ramp up the costs and maybe deliver greater value, but the way it's proposed is it's just everybody gets it. And so we have to decide how we're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
And so we have to come to that, an agreement as to what we think is the appropriate way to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm trying to get at.
I agree.
And Jeff, if I could just add, this is Ollie. In years prior to 2017-18, I don't think they're listed on that slide, but we actually paid quite a bit more for HTHU, and they would actually go out and sign people up at locations.
Wow.
And so I think the annual fee and just being able to market the heck out of it to as many people as possible, and then have school districts have the ability to tailor some of the offerings to their needs, which is kind of the feedback that we usually get is what they're seeking would be of value.
Well, I would counter that, Ollie, is that we may have paid more, but we got a lot. We didn't get much for it.
Fair enough.
And so it's kind of like it seems to be trending in a more positive direction. We're agreeing that with every merger, things have been getting better. But in recognition of that in the past where we paid and didn't get much, I'm just kind of wondering how cautious is appropriate to proceed.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not arguing for or against, I'm raising the questions.
Yeah, good. And I'd like to hear from Robert and Bill. Specifically around the pricing issue.
So this is Bill. I'm always in the mindset of coming up with a value-based formula for something like this, just roughing some head and math. If I do 1,500 people over a 2-year ramp up period, if we have 1,500 people sign up for this annually and they each save us $200 or one visit, then you're good. I'm wondering if we break out some of these health plans, and that's not just WebMD, but a number of things. If we can have disaggregate data on people participating in these plans in the kind of presentation we had earlier, if that's possible. And I'm asking that to Willis Towers.
Robert?
Well, I understand the shift. Going back to Jeff's comment first, I think if it is a benefit that's applied to everyone, I'm not sure putting it in the administrative part is the way to go. If it's available to all members, and I'd like to know what the benchmark participation should be for that type of piece. I mean, with the plans, we know we have 85% participation because we have 15% who waive, and then we can adjust and plan based on that. If we just go with the overall cost of 300,000, then what's going to be the measurement for success going into the future? When we have it, per person, we can measure at least the participation and whether or not any program is worth that. So that'd be my consideration is what's the benchmark for success in participation that makes the switch worth it.
So for Maureen and Melissa, what if for where you have 100,000 potential eligible participants, when you're fully engaged, what is the expected number of participants, not attending webinars, but actually participating in the online coaching, let it be as teams of one or teams of however many?
Yeah, just by going through previous years. So we're basing it probably on what we've done in the past, and to everybody's point, you know, we're elevating what we're delivering and what we're bringing to you. When we at least went through the pricing exercises, the assumption was that we would have a minimum of 5% participation. If we're looking for more, you know, we certainly have ideas of how we can increase that overall. And, you know, please know, because this is, you know, it's open to everybody, it's not for participant. We always strive to get as many people to participate as possible. But just from a pricing perspective, we actually made the assumption of minimum of 5%, knowing that we would increase from there as we start to bring this into the culture.
Okay. So the as Glenn talked about earlier, I think that there's two different issues here. Number one, people are happy with the evolution that we've just heard about, and the product that you're describing sounds good and can really fit into our entity structure, where you have support for local champions and wellness champions. So that's excellent. The other side is there's a concern around participation, and on the pricing model where it's per eligible. If you don't get participation, then it's not a good, it hasn't been a wise decision for us and the board. So I understand what you're proposing, but Glenn had talked about you know, performance guarantees,
yeah,
where, you know, we could staff could go on and negotiate additionally with you to look at, by X time frame, it should have so many participants, and in another 6 months, you know, additional, working towards that 5%. No one expects in May of 2021 you being at 5%. That's not going to happen. But there should be a ramp up where we get to that level.
Yeah, and we are extremely comfortable talking through performance guarantees, because, you know, we want this to be a continued long-term
Yes.
partnership, and
Yes.
so we want to make sure that we're connecting that way.
Yeah. So I'm going to propose to the committee that we this is an area that we don't, our wellness program doesn't have much in it other than WW. Has some very small focused things with relatively low participation. This has a chance of having high participation and meeting a need that isn't currently met. So my recommendation would be that we we accept this in general, and yet ask for our staff to negotiate with WebMD in terms of coming up with performance guarantees that provide some cover as such, as we see how this moves into our organization and into our entities. How does that sound? We're a little over time now, but this was, I think, an important conversation.
Tom, I just think it's important to note that both our carriers have programs.
Agreed. Yes. And the issue for me is that I think that this, you know, the request will be for the coordination across all of those, the health plans also.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there agreement for what I just outlined?
Yes, from Bill.
need to hear from Robert and Jeff.
Yes.
It's yes, no, or abstain. You know, it's okay. I talked over you, Robert.
It's a close one.
Yeah.
It's a close one, but I'm going to lean towards yes.
Okay. Jeff?
I'll vote yes as well. I think it probably is implied that we would evaluate
Yes.
year by year as to whether we continue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So, Glenn, you are tasked with, and others in OEB administration to work with, obviously this has to be approved by the board. But we'll bring it back to the board after we've gotten the performance, see what the performance guarantees look like. So I assume we'll bring this back to SEOW in June with us bringing it to the board in June.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
presentation. That was very, very helpful. Okay.
Thank you.
We've used a little bit of WW's time, but we'll do what we have to do. So onward to the next one. And Glenn, do you want to tee this one up for us?
Yes, Weight Watchers, we heard from them after the global budget had been approved for the 21, 22, and 22, 23 plan years already, with an offer to, add, if we so choose, and the carriers, the two programs of one, the Digital 360 program, and the Weight Watchers for Diabetes. They offered to pilot it in these upcoming rest of this plan year, but if we then add it into the next plan year, there would be a fee. And due to the timing of the renewals, since Weight Watchers is included into our premium rates, we wanted to bring this to SEOW. We actually had originally shared it with the leadership, and it was recommended that we come back and have Weight Watchers give its presentation on these programs and the costs and benefits, and then have the carriers give their thoughts and ideas on do these two programs overlap on programs they're offering, especially on a single audience or common audiences, and then B, what their kind of recommendation would be. But the main thing was that the really leadership at SEOW wanted to see are we adding programs that are adding value and not just duplicating what we're already offering.
Okay, so I want to lay out a time frame for our conversation. I would like WW to spend at most 15 minutes to go through to outline these changes. We'll then give a couple minutes to both Kaiser Permanente and to MODA to get their opinion about, particularly around the diabetes program, whether or not that adds to something. And then we'll have time for comments and a recommendation, because this is one that we do need to bring to the board today. So WW, you're on.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. And Glenn, you teed it up really perfectly. And first, I just want to say, usually we get this in front of you right away. It was a new program, Digital 360, that launched in December. So for our consumer business, and that's why there was a bit of a delay here. So let's go ahead and skip right to Rose. If you want to go to the next slide. Let's go to the next slide. And I don't know, can you hear videos the way that you guys have Microsoft Teams set up? Because this will give us a quick overview and it can dive right in. So let's go ahead and try it. If you want to try playing it, Rose. Okay, it doesn't, that's okay. Let's go to the next slide. You guys can take a look at that. it brings our coaches to life. Essentially a little history on the why and the what's. I've been at WW for over 6 years, and we've been looking at ways that we could really develop a digital platform and a program. One slide back. To be able for members to choose and really get into the program. Go 2 slides back, Rose, and really have access to what they would like at their fingertips. And so Digital 360, this one, perfect, thank you. And so if you think about the offerings that you have today, you have digital and you have our unlimited workshops. This one fits in right between. So for myself personally, I'm a member as well. I switched my membership to this one because it really met my need. It's on-demand content that they can actually follow coaches, as many as they would like. If you guys are familiar with the Peloton platform where you can pick and choose coaches that you really resonate with, it's the same concept. And so they get access to this on the app that they have today if they're a current member, or if they can sign up and obviously get access to this as well. So this is, I'm not doing it justice because I want to, get to my colleague Hope to go over the diabetes program. So if you go to the next slide, Rose. So there's also additional content within this membership choice. They get additional videos. They get Dr. Allison Grupsky, some content from her. They also get walk talks. This is essentially like podcasts, but it's for people to listen to when walking and exercising. And the premium content is from, so far we've released with Oprah, Matthew McConaughey, Sanjay Gupta, etc. So it really does release another consumer choice in order for them to participate how they'd like to. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So if you guys want to, here's an example of one of the walk talks you can take a listen to if you would like. It's about 40 seconds with Matthew McConaughey to give you a little bit of flavor of what's available. We do have some consumer insights. Of course, the program mix here that you see, 9%, 78, etc., is very different than what we see for OWEB, but it gives you a little bit of an insight into, we've seen 32% of those signups are brand new members, meaning people who have never touched the program before. And we do have some conversions. So when we think about pricing that I've put in front of you, it does take into consideration some of those switches that we'll expect to see. And overall, we've had high member satisfaction. Okay, go to the next slide. So here is a little bit of member insight into what they said they love about the program. So just wanted to share a little bit about the fact that people are loving the fact that they have access when they want it versus having to go to a certain time during the week to attend a workshop. So it was really our way of elevating what WW can bring to the table and making sure that we're bringing to life something that people can choose that works for them. Next slide. I'm going to switch over to Hope. So the reason that we put in the diabetes program is when that we were talking to the OWEB team earlier last month, they just really liked the fact that there could be some choice in the fact of having members be able, that are a person with type 2 diabetes, to follow this program. Hope Paul, she's actually a diabetes certified educator who has helped develop this program. So I'm going to turn it over to her to highlight what this program brings to the table.
Thank you, Ashley, and thank you everyone for your time today. Like Ashley said, my name is Hope. I am a registered dietitian and certified diabetes care and education specialist with WW, and I've been with WW for over 9 years now. So let me take you through our diabetes offering. If you can go to the next slide, please. So we know that weight loss is beneficial for individuals living with type 2 diabetes. That weight loss helps to improve blood sugar control, helps improve A1C, and overall leads to better outcomes. And you can go to the next slide, please. There are many, many reasons to help our WW members living with diabetes improve A1C levels, have better control over their blood sugar levels. Of course, we know from research that lowering A1C helps to reduce the risk of diabetes complications, helps slow the progression of the disease, helps to improve quality of life, overall health, increase life expectancy. So there are so many reasons that we want to help individuals living with type 2 diabetes and experience the WW journey. Next slide, please. So of course, when you're living with diabetes, there are so many questions that come to mind. And these are the kinds of questions that our members ask. What can I eat? Can I eat fruit? Can I even lose weight? Can I exercise? How do I deal with taking medications and thinking about carbohydrates and looking at weight loss goals? So there are a lot of different balls in the air that a person with diabetes is trying to juggle. And we understand that. And that's what we're trying to help our members to do, is really just to simplify the experience and help our members living with type 2 diabetes be able to better experience that journey, reach their weight loss goals while living with diabetes and managing their blood sugar. You can go to the next slide, please. So what we've created is a product, an experience for our members that includes the WW workshops, the wonderful digital experience, all of the tools in the WW app, the website, the support and accountability from weekly workshops, with the additional layer of working with a team of certified diabetes care and education specialists. And each member has a CDE assigned to them, from the get-go. And the CDE helps the member really create a food plan to go over. The members have plans and unlimited follow-up coaching from a dedicated diabetes educator, dietitian. There are tailored materials to address weight loss and managing diabetes. And we also have weekly email communication that really tailor the general workshop topic to a member living with type 2 diabetes. So you can really see the general workshop topic, but with the lens of a person living with type 2 diabetes. Next slide, please. As I was mentioning, all of our CDEs on my team are all registered dietitians. Members are provided with their own diabetes educator that sticks with them for the life of their membership. And that really helps us to develop a personal and ongoing relationship between the diabetes educator and the member as their needs and goals and interests change. Next slide, please. So here is really a snapshot of what the member is going to experience. So we do set up an initial phone call between the member and their diabetes educator to really help them to get started with their WW journey. So we go over goals for the member, help to understand their history and their needs. And we create a plan that's not really talking about specific food, but really how to use their daily smart points budget, which is how we work within the WW ecosystem with the point system, how to use the point system to best fit their schedule and their needs. About 2 weeks after that initial phone call, we do have a follow-up phone call and really use that as a check-in to see how the member is doing, what's working, what's not working, what changes we need to make, what questions they have. And then from that point, we can really determine the next steps with the member. If the member would like to continue to have one-on-one phone coaching calls with their diabetes coach, if they just want to check in by email. And then we do have ongoing support and communication going out to the members. So they get a weekly email on that workshop topic, and members can always reach out to their diabetes educator, their diabetes coach by email too, anytime they need. Okay, next slide, please. So this is an important slide because I know you've got lots of other conversations going on today, really about how WW is approaching this. So the WW for Diabetes product, the program complements existing disease management programs. So what we are focused on is helping our members who are living with type 2 diabetes to lose weight. So that is our primary focus, is still on weight loss, weight management component. And these are specifically for members who also are living with this other condition of having type 2 diabetes. So we do, like I was mentioning, have the Smart Points plan, and we help the member to figure that out with whatever their current blood sugar management goals are. We have those weekly topics, but we're not replacing the general healthcare team, the other general management. We do not modify medications for members. We're not talking about the condition piece. We're not getting blood sugar readings from members or looking at it from that piece. We're helping the member with their weight loss journey while they're managing their blood sugar. So the member still very much needs their healthcare team, their condition management team to set overall treatment plans and goals and continue to have those important examinations and medication adjustments and regimens. And really still the member needs their healthcare team to continue to help them to manage their condition over the long term. So I just wanted to make sure we have that distinction of where WW is kind of coming into play here. It's really primarily with the weight loss and weight management piece of it. You can go to the next slide, please. And these are just some anecdotes from our members, the kind of information that, I have members tell me during our coaching calls all the time about reductions in A1C levels, their weight loss success, changes in their medication, of course, after they've talked to their healthcare provider about their lifestyle changes that they're making and weight loss that they're experiencing. So, we do have all sorts of positive feedback coming from our members on reaching some of these things that are very important to our members, that they tell us are some of their goals to reach their weight loss goals, to have adjustments, if possible, in their medications, to reach their goals of lowering their A1C. Next slide, please.
We have about 2 or 3 minutes to wrap up the conversation. Thank you.
Sure. So I will just very briefly show you some of the information from our clinical trial that we did a few years ago, where we did look at a WW intervention group receiving this program that is outlined, compared with a standard care group, sort of like what you would receive at outpatient diabetes education if you did just a one-time visit. And we were interested in changes in A1C, but of course also to changes in body weight and diabetes distress. You can go to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. So something I want to just highlight very briefly here is that we did find that every 1% of weight change was associated with a 0.11 A1C change in the WW intervention group, but in a 0.065 A1C change in the standard care group. So for the same amount of weight loss, the A1C changes were different between the intervention group and the standard care group. So it was more than just strictly weight loss that we see impacting the A1C change. Next slide, please. And we did find that the WW intervention group had greater weight loss, greater decreases in A1C. Participants achieved A1C below 7.0 more than the standard care patients. And that difference in weight loss wasn't solely attributable, the change in A1C wasn't solely attributable to the weight loss. Okay, next slide, please. And finally, I just want to make sure we highlight the changes in psychosocial outcomes. So we were also interested in looking at the diabetes distress scale, because diabetes is a challenging condition to live with. And we found that those in the WW intervention group had greater reductions in diabetes-related distress. They had increases in weight-related quality of life. And that by the end of the trial, the WW group fell into the category of reporting little or no diabetes distress. compared to the standard care group. So we know that it is a challenging condition to live with, but we find that we're just trying to help our members find success in lots of different ways. All right, I think that's just about our time for here. So those are all of our slides for now.
Thank you, Hope. Yeah, and I'll just wrap it up with pricing just very quickly so you're very clear on what we're proposing. We are proposing to keep the price as is for the current plan year, but to add, you can go to the next slide. This is just a summary of all the membership options. Perfect, right here. We're proposing as of June 1st, we would like to offer Digital 360 in the diabetes program for no additional cost. A small incremental fee would go into place starting on October 1st. This does not include the diabetes program, the reason for which is because we're actually making a lot of changes on the back end soon to come in the future. So in the interim, we wanted to give you guys the diabetes program that we have today, access to your population. So that is a summary of pricing.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
So the issues of reporting, you would be able to continue to show us how people are dividing into workshop versus standard platform versus digital 360.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. And Curbo for that matter.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. And the no cost for the WW for diabetes is for how long of a period of time, do you know? Is it for the entire, the 2-year
it is.
cycle?
It's all the way through to 2023 is what I've gotten approval for.
Okay, that's
and
fine.
we can and then we can lock you guys in for the digital 360 pricing all the way through that time frame as well.
Okay. So comments from the committee members, or actually, no, this is where we're going to have both Kaiser Permanente and MODA give their comments on whether or not adding the WW for diabetes is appropriate. So why don't we have Kaiser Permanente go first? Just a couple minutes for each health plan.
Hi, Dr. Sotobo, thank you. I'll kick us off. This is Sapari. As Glenn mentioned, we were asked to review the new WW diabetes program to determine if there was an overlap with our existing programs and resources that we have available today for our OWEB members. So we were going to break this down, and you'll see it in the document into 4 sections. One is to address the vendor services we offer. The second is to talk about the programs and resources that we have available through KP. And the third is to talk about our clinical programs, and then we'll end with the perspective. So based on what WW has shared in their presentation about this new program, we understand that their program will target members with existing type 2 diabetes. We also contract with Canary Health on behalf of OWEB to offer a program for prediabetes and diabetes type 2 prevention. And we contract with Canary Health, their Better Choices, Better Health program for chronic condition management, which includes an offering for people with both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So in our analysis, just the brief summary, we understand that the target groups are distinct between WW for diabetes and the Canary Prevent Diabetes program. There may be some slight overlap with respect to the diabetes program through WW and Canary's Better Choices, Better Health, as it provides a group support option. So the other section that we have, as you can see, are just the resources and links that are available for the diabetes program, pre-diabetes and diabetes program through KP. But because we have a limited time, I'm just going to flip it over to Dr. Bachman to talk about our clinical programs and our perspective on this. So Dr.
Yeah, sure. We have a well-established clinical program providing state-of-the-art diabetes care with excellent outcomes. You know, as an HMO, when we look at our HEDIS scores, we're actually held to a higher standard than our PPO community competitors, and we're able to meet that benchmark for the most part for both OEB and for other groups because we have a well-established program using our data systems, using our algorithms, using human health coaches, diabetes health educators, diabetes nutritionists, as well as primary care physicians and diabetes specialty pharmacists. So that said, the services are getting met and our patients get great outcome. However, I would say this is a place where duplication is helpful, and the more ways nutrition and food is powerful medication in type 2 diabetes and can help reduce the need for medications, the need for worsening of conditions. So really the more modalities, more opportunities our members have in engaging in the difficult work of behavior change, I think the better off that they'll be. So although it is duplicative, I think it is good duplicative. I think I'm more concerned about a program that would get involved in looking at blood sugars or making medication recommendations than a program that's focusing on healthy nutrition. There may be some confusion and need for wayfinding for lucky OEB members who will be able to get these services from more than one location, whether it's through their health plan or through Weight Watchers. We think Weight Watchers has a great brand. We think Weight Watchers' recent improvements in the program and their website are all great, and the thoughtfulness and scientific nature of the services they offer, including researching this program in a randomized trial. So it is a little bit duplicative that we have diabetes educators, nutritionists on staff that do engage with our members. However, we think overall this is likely a benefit for OEB members with type 2 diabetes who are interested in both Weight Watchers as well as coaching and advice from the Weight Watchers Diabetes Program.
Oh, it looks like you're on mute, Dr. Silterbo.
You're right, I was on mute. Thank you, Dr. Bachman. Thank you, Sapari. Pretty clear recommendation. Yes, it's duplicative, but sometimes duplication is good, and we'll be able over the 2-year period of time to actually see how much engagement there is. Moda, you're up.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Dr. Silterbo. And I'll try and go through these slides quickly because I know there's an interest of time and don't want to be duplicative of what Kaiser has just presented as well. But we were asked by Glenn as well to provide just where our services overlap with what WW is proposing, and then also just any concerns or positives about the duplication. So first, just looking at the WW Digital 360, when we looked at it, it appeared that they offered, health coaching and more of a digital experience. While we do offer duplicative services around this, they are a little bit different than the way WW offers them. So our health coaching or member management, which includes, health coaching, case management, disease management, and lifestyle management, those are done one-on-one through Moda, and they're most often done telephonically. And then another distinction on that is that we do a predictive outreach around that. So we're looking, first we have our health navigators. So when they're working with members, they identify members that would benefit from these programs and we'll do a warm handoff over to our healthcare services team. And then we also look at claims data and our clinical data to identify members that could benefit from any of these programs, as well as outreaches and reminders and just education on things such as prediabetes. We also have our wellness advisors, which do live webinars, and then we have a page dedicated to our wellness advisors, and they post all of their webinars on various topics, as well as cooking demos that they do, and that all gets posted on that OEB Wellness Advisor page. We also have resources inside of our member dashboard that members can access. So we have Momentum, which includes a health risk assessment survey, where members can take that survey and then set goals and log their progress towards those goals. And then also Health Shelf, where members they have access to content on just so many different topics, and they can choose to keep those articles and that information at a very high level, or they can even dig down deep and get more detailed information on those. And then we also, as Sapari mentioned, we contract with Canary Health through OEB as well. Next slide, Rose. Right, and then for diabetes, when we looked at the WW for diabetes offering, it appeared that it's their base program about weight management, which they do a fantastic job at. And then it adds on this extra layer of a certified diabetes educator. And so we recently, as you guys are probably well aware, we recently implemented Livongo for diabetes. And just a really quick overview of Livongo is that it provides a smart meter for members, and it logs all of their readings into the cloud. As soon as they take a reading, they get instant feedback to educate them on what that reading means and how to manage their blood sugars around that reading. If there's a reading out of range, then a certified diabetes educator from Livongo reaches out to that member instantly and just checks in with them. They can provide advice on how to manage a high or a low blood sugar and just ask them if they have any questions. And then when members have out of range readings, they can send alerts to Livongo, also to their family and to their PCP. And then when a member is meeting with their PCP or an endocrinologist, they can actually send them a report from their app that has all of their readings so that they can have a conversation with their provider looking back at how they've been managing their blood sugar. The program also provides free testing supplies, and then through the app, they actually work with health coaches as well, which is the certified diabetes educator. So the health coaches will reach out to the members and engage with them, and then members can also choose to reach out to a health coach as well. And so that health coaching is done through text, through phone, and through video calls as well. So that's the Livongo program and how that manages diabetes. And I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Singh, who's going to give a quick overview of just how we manage diabetes within our coordinated care model. Dr. Singh?
Thank you. Good afternoon. So as we've heard, the existing vendor, Livongo, is a fairly comprehensive diabetes management service. This service integrates targeted outreach with disease management in the form of tracking and analyzing glucose levels, and integrates that with health coaching. Given that diabetes is a serious multi-system disorder and a major driver of morbidity and mortality, we believe that health coaching, when provided in the context of established diabetes, needs to be coordinated with medical care, and this needs to be an integrated part of the healthcare system. For those who develop chronic kidney disease, we will soon have a comprehensive vendor in that space to manage risk, slow progression, educate, and prepare and plan for dialysis where that becomes necessary. Medical care can be delivered via telemedicine. This is all coordinated with our own healthcare services clinical engine. I think we've gone forward one slide, but we have our own MODA health coaching, targeted case management, wellness advisors, educational resources, and these are deployed where needed and duplication is avoided. Sorry, if we could just step back a slide, please. And one more slide backwards, please. Thank you, sorry. Our pharmacy services provide comprehensive medication management. And again, we'd like to emphasize that the member and their choice of PCP working in partnership is central to our coordinated approach to supporting and treating diabetic members. We can go to the next slide, please. This slide just illustrates our diabetic member, and any member with a variety of complex needs receives comprehensive care from our high quality network, which we analyze, optimize, collect data from, and share extensive data with. We work in partnership with our network to improve quality of care and ensure cost effectiveness. Go to the next slide, please. A reminder that our healthcare services clinical engine works behind the scenes to deliver a variety of appropriate services for our diabetic members. There may be, for example, underlying life events that have triggered anxiety or depression and result in behavioral health needs, which may be correlated with the onset or progression of diabetes. And move to the final slide, please. So in summary, we have a more full view of the member, which we share with all our teams, our network, and provide integration with our vendors to optimize care delivery and minimize duplication. We believe that once a serious condition such as diabetes has developed, health coaching needs to be a more comprehensive, clinically focused solution, needs to be part of that. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Singh. And I also want to add that for our Livongo engagement, we've just rolled out this program in October, and we've already seen 18% of our eligible population engage with that program. And compared to our other non-MODA 360 groups within MODA, that's a considerably higher engagement rate than the other groups.
So to answer the question, does MODA support the addition of WW for diabetes? I got the sense the answer is no.
Yeah, it is a duplicative service, and as Dr. Singh had mentioned, we would prefer to keep that health coaching within our own diabetes management program because it is coordinated with all of the other things that we're working on with a member, for example, the chronic kidney disease and such.
Okay. So in this situation, we don't have kind of agreement between the two health plans. Dr. Bachman, do you want to change your vote, or do you, the option, of course, is it doesn't change the pricing solution. That's the good news. So we're not in a contract dispute. We're in what's the best way to care for our members.
I don't feel compelled to change my vote, but
okay.
Both MODA members and Kaiser Permanente members will get great diabetes care with or without this program.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate both of the approaches. So with that, let's have the committee talk about, we have two different things to decide. The one that needs to be moved forward today is the pricing structure that was recommended, which involves a small increase to add the digital 360 to the current mix or the current contract for WW. We'll talk about diabetes later.
Well, I'll speak up. This is kind of a conundrum. On one hand, if you think that giving multiple options may help people, may motivate them so that we get greater engagement overall, that's a plus. On the other hand, you can dilute the effectiveness of the programs that we've strived to build on an integrated basis. So I'm having difficulty. Tom, you're muted.
My apologies. The issue that we have to decide now is whether to agree with the pricing structure, which involves the digital 360. It doesn't, the diabetes one doesn't have a cost implication. So I think what we have to decide first is whether to forward the recommendation, the pricing recommendation that we just saw, which involves adding digital 360. Then we can decide on adding or not adding the WW for diabetes.
So not making a judgment here, but just doing some basic math, it represents a 20% increase. And so then, you know, it's 20%.
It can't be that. It was like 1.3 something to 1.4 something.
Oh, I was using the wrong row. Sorry about that. Sorry.
Yes. I think it's like a
okay. I didn't
5%.
Look at the discounts. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that changed your mind?
I wasn't making a value judgment at that point, but yes, I think cost would be a factor, but I think the cost increase is minimal. Yes.
Okay. Bill?
I do like the choices, as this is kind of lifestyle management, that people will approach it in their own personal way that best suits them. So having this style choice, although I'm sure the two providers that we have this integrated in, Weight Watchers definitely had WW, based on their initials, definitely had a connection to, weight control and lifestyle balance on weight, connected to diabetes outcomes, which is what their specialty is. So in that aspect, some people may get better, whereas Modith seem to focus on coordinating your different systematic problems, together for a coordinated effort to really bring the member back into a healthy lifestyle, which is also good. So it just depends. I can see some members going one way or another. Cost impact was not that great for increase. So I think some group of members will benefit in one plan and some group will benefit in the main medical care organizations. So I would choose both in this particular outcome, because diabetes and some of these chronic diseases are such a high part of our total cost.
The diabetes doesn't cost us anything more.
Yeah.
But are you happy with adding the slight increase for adding the digital?
The digital
360?
D360 was good.
Okay.
If we're going to provide that program, then that should be included.
Okay, great. Jeff, any conclusion on the digital 360 and the price increase?
I'm fine with it.
Okay, so we will bring forward to the board the pricing recommendation. The issue around now, let's see if we can address the WW for diabetes. I just heard Bill say that that's a reasonable thing to add, in that it gives our members additional choice. Jeff, you described it as a conundrum, and Robert, I'm not sure how you feel about it.
Okay, so here's how I feel about it. We've been walking down this path with MODA on CCMs for 3-4 years now, and we're gaining traction. And if the WW program actually has the potential to destabilize what they're trying to do with respect to diabetes care management, then I have pause on this, or concerns.
Okay. Jeff.
I'm kind of leaning towards, we've been asking for this integrated approach. The state's looking for us to develop an integrated approach. I think if we've approved the pricing, do we have to come to a final decision on the diabetes module?
No, we don't right now.
I'd like to have a month to think about it.
Okay. Well, we will bring back the issue of WW for diabetes back to our June meeting. I don't think we're having a May meeting. I don't know that for sure.
To be determined this afternoon.
To be determined. Okay. So we may have a meeting before June, but for sure we will address the issue of WW for diabetes in May or June, and we will forward to the board a recommendation to approve the addition of the digital 360 as part of the Weight Watchers product, with us again slight increase in cost for that project. Did I get it? Yes.
Yeah, Tom, just to refresh. So for the diabetes, it's my so they're not going to be, they wouldn't be charging us if we went with it for 21-22.
I understand they're not going to charge us, but the issue that people are
no, I just wanted to make sure I got it correctly. So
yes,
we don't need to make a decision today. So
yeah, we don't have to make a decision for the WW for diabetes today. What we do need to do is to make the decision to approve the recommendation, the pricing structure, which I think there was no cost for the for us for the WW for diabetes, so we can decide on that later.
This is Ash, and that's absolutely correct. So we could go ahead if you're saying yes to the cost increase for Digital 360. We can add that June 1st, and then the new cost structure will go into place on October 1st. And if down the road, after you guys decide in June that it's a go for diabetes, we can then initiate turning on that program as well.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you.
And
You're
actually,
welcome.
that would need to go into our renewal rates for 21, 22 because you wouldn't be charging us for that.
Correct. We would honor what we put in front of you. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure.
Okay. So I think we have made some decisions.
Well, for us to move forward, we would just need the approval via email once you guys are ready to send that over, Glenn, and then we can work through next steps.
So Jeff, we will bring this recommendation to the board for decision, I think today.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Great. Thank you so much
for your time. I don't know if you
today.
want. Thank you so much, Ashley. So Jeff, I don't know if you need us. I'm reporting out SEOW at the end of the board meeting. I don't know if you need that approval before to put it into the rate. It can't do much in terms of affecting rates.
Correct. Perhaps our consultants can run a quick percentage impact and let us know.
Okay.
So I'll have to move you up somehow, Tom.
Yeah.
And I'll hold you to a strict 10 minutes.
Oh, I will. I'll spend it only on the things that matter. I'm usually pretty good at holding within my allotted time.
I know you work at it. Thank you.
Okay. All righty. Thank you all. What a great SEOW meeting. And next month.